in studio. Craig Nasello out at the Mohegan Sun for Bellator coming up. How are we doing, Jimmy?
Doing well, Jeremy. How about yourself?
I am doing great. Craig, how is things going out there in quarantine?
I'm out of quarantine. I actually got an early release today.
Nice.
I think I got my results at like 5 or 5:30. Kind of nice.
Is that like parole?
Yeah, it really is.
Well, there's nothing wrong with parole. So, all right. But tonight we're having, we're working. We're doing things live. We're doing all the stuff. It's a lot of fun. Bellator though, we got to talk Bellator. Craig being there, but Ryan Bader and Lyoto Machida, it's like old school UFC from the old days. It was fun. Jimmy, tell me about it.
It really was a fun match to watch, although Bader was really slow coming out, and I didn't know what to expect from him. And then finally, all of a sudden, the switch clicked, and the fight changed, and you could just see him taking control of it.
Yeah. Now, Craig, what was the mood like there in the arena?
It was pretty cool. I mean, it was excited, little anticipation with everything. You know, Machida's last couple fights out have not really been his best, but Bader made him fight for 5 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it got pretty one-sided after the first. I don't think Machida had the stamina to go all five, especially with, freaking Division I wrestler like him.
So, Craig, do you think that age played a factor in that?
No, I just think preparation mostly. I don't think age is just a number. I mean, you see all these guys still fighting in their mid-40s. They're doing okay. But
Jimmy?
It was a 5-round fight against a stud.
It is, but it's a tough one. But Jimmy, so your thoughts? Age, is it a factor?
I personally thought it might have been a factor in it. I mean, looking at just the way Ryan just started out slow, you thought the fight was going one direction, and then you could just see the expression on Machida's face that he didn't have the gas.
Now, the fun one, though, is I know, Craig, so you're out there for another fight coming up this weekend. Give me your predictions on the light heavyweight division.
So the tournament?
Yeah.
Grand Prix? Okay, so we got Nemkov and Phil Davis 2 for the title tomorrow night. That's our main event. And then co-main is Corey Anderson and some guy from Russia. I can't even say his name if I had to.
Yagshimuradov, is that close?
Something to that effect.
He's got a lot of vowels, so he might win. So I don't know.
He's got the whole alphabet, I think, to be honest.
Oh my God, he's got a very complicated name. But my predictions, honestly, I think Corey Anderson and Nemkov are going to move forward in the tournament. I would love to see out of this tournament. I'd like to see the belt move a couple hands, a couple times. This would be kind of cool. I don't want to see any of these guys lose. They're all good, great guys and great, athletes. But it's part of this game.
Absolutely, it is part of the game. So what is the biggest fight, though, that you're looking forward to, Craig, tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, I'm looking forward to Paul Daly and the Slick. Gosh, how's his nickname go? The Slick Sheik or something like that. Hamasi. Paul Daly and Hamasi is gonna be a great stand-up fight.
Now,
they're both bangers.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to St. Louis local Julius Unlictus fighting too. I know that he made weight already today, so it was a good fight.
Yeah.
Who is he fighting?
Oh my gosh. What is his name now? Give me 1 second here. I can tell you. He's from Aruba. I know that much.
It's fine. It was a good effort, Craig. We just figured you might know off the top of your head. But talking more MMA action today other than Bellator.
I'm hearing that Craig's audio's muted.
Well, we'll see how that plays out.
So we can hear, but they can't.
So, though, there's been a big announcement today in the world of MMA, and that is Invicta FC, another one that Craig and our buddy Mike Driesbach work for, that they are going now to Access TV. They've been sold. Shannon Knapp has sold the company. Jimmy, what do you think this does for the women's MMA scene?
I think it's a huge opportunity for them, to be honest with you. I think the visibility they're going to get, they've got solid ownership. You've got Mark Cuban and others engaged in it.
Yeah, I think that's big. Craig, what are your thoughts here with Invicta being sold today?
Man, it's interesting. I know that much. It's scary. Didn't know where me and Mike were going to end up with a new company buying a company, or a new parent company buying us, or buying Invicta. But from what Mike told me, Shannon is going to stay and run the corporation, or run the day to day, and still be the boss. So me and Mike are safe at this point. But yeah, it's exciting. I mean, we're going to be on Access TV now. Not going to be under the Fight Pass banner no more. It's going to be live on TV and not streaming. So that's cool. I mean, it's definitely going to entice a lot of people to tune in more. I would think. And then I think it's got a little bit more money back.
Yeah, I think that the money backing is a big thing. Throwing in Mark Cuban into this, he's been around MMA since the MAV TV days, though. So, and also now this brings back MMA to Access TV.
Well, don't forget about Steve Harvey's in the back with that group too.
Yeah, they got a lot of money involved in it. That's the big thing right there. So they're going to get the visibility. They got the backing, which we always talked before about where is their money coming from, what's the backing of it. So
yeah, big
that's
shout
big.
out here to the chat room. If you want to let us know, check us out on Facebook or on Instagram at MMA Bourbon. Big shout out to my agent who is watching here, Jason Fowler. Thank you very much. So, no, guys, we are talking, though, UFC. Let's get into the UFC here. And what's up with this Whitaker-Gastelum card?
I think that's going to be an interesting fight. I think
agree.
Gastelum's got the power. Curious how Whitaker handles it. But I think Whitaker also is already looking forward on Asayan.
So, Craig, here, I know that you don't get a lot of time to watch the fights and things like that whenever you're working, but what is the big fight? What would your prediction be here out of the Whitaker-Gastelum fight?
When's the last time Whitaker won?
Well, I mean, that's a fair statement, but when was the last time that Kelvin Gastelum didn't come in, eating a sandwich? So,
Well, I mean, and that's why he's an 85 right now.
well, now.
I think it's an interesting fight. I'd like to see Whitaker get back to winning and get back to the way his form when he was the champion. He was pretty tough. I mean, he was a tough kid. He's still a tough kid. And Gastelum's always been good. He's always been right there on the cusp of winning a belt. But we'll see. I would take Whitaker over Gastelum just because of.
I love the one out of the chat at the moment here. Conor McGregor versus random homeless people. Call it UFC After Dark. I love that idea.
We can run that with Springer.
And then Usman Masvidal also. That fight's coming up.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really good fight right there. I think it's just going to be a brawl.
Yeah,
I think Usman comes out on top, but I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. We are running in, if you can hear it, a bit of an echo, so we're kind of working on that as we go here, ladies and gentlemen. But of course, we'll get it fixed at the end. Also now, so Craig, what more do you have going on? What's going on in the hotel? What is your prep coming up to this tonight?
My prep coming up to what? I'm getting drunk.
Well, I get that part because that's what we do during the show.
Okay. Just, I had to do a COVID test yesterday. Got released earlier on my work release program. So, we got some dinner and just kind of hanging out, having some drinks, doing the show, and then I'll probably go down and get some ice cream here in a little while and just hang out.
Well, I love it. So, all right, Craig, we are going to drop you here, though, as we go into our bourbon segment. Just that way we can make sure that everything's good. Craig, thank you so much. Have a great show tomorrow night. Everybody, go follow. Where can they find you on all the socials to follow for the action tomorrow from Cage Side?
Find Craig on Twitter.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Craig, thank you so much. Also, this has been brought to you by our big sponsors at Bucks Burley. Check them out, the best hair care product in the business, bucksburley.com. Check them out, Bucks Burley on Amazon. Tell them that the MMA Bourbon Appreciation Society sent you, Jimmy. We all use it, right?
Yes, we do. It's all we use anymore.
Complete and total. So, all right, Jimmy, we are moving into the world of bourbon, and we have had more than anything, I think that this has been what people wanted to see, and it's the canned drinks. As many times as we have made cocktails, and I mean tonight, I made you a blood orange pineapple sour since you haven't been drinking with this new diet plan, and I have one of the original Mountain Dew cocktails tonight in homage to the fact that we're doing, canned drinks. So this one was one of those that people were just like, I got to have it. And so we got, literally, I think 20, 25 people had messaged us about what is your thoughts on canned drinks. So tonight we're going to do it.
And it's totally blew me away because, honestly, as many times as I walk by them, I don't think about grabbing them.
No.
Because one, I got the DrinkWorks machine sitting there and the full bar and always have everything to make it. So I don't even think about a canned cocktail.
Yeah, I keep, so much stuff. I got 140 bottles plus all the mixers and stuff in my house. So, yeah, I never think about this. So tonight we are going to do it. And as you can see across the front here, we have had all of them from Crown Royal, Jack Daniels. We had their whiskey and cola and their honey bourbon lemonade. We had some Jim Beam products, and then we had a couple of more craft distilleries in Dogfish and Cutwater. So, Jimmy, kind of give us the gist of what happened tonight as we move into our sip, sink, and save, where we're going to pick 3 of the 9 that we tested. And let me tell you, that was a long test to get into this.
It was very interesting, to be honest with you, because you sit there and you look at it, and it's like, what, this sounds really good. And it's like, wow, is that really what it's supposed to be? And nothing negative to it. But just not knowing what to expect. You're reading the label and what you're expecting and what you get are, as always, 2 different things. So a couple of them were actually, I think there were 3 of them that were spot on.
Absolutely.
As to what I would expect the drink to taste like or be very much like the original drink. Other ones were a little bit different. But, honestly, one of them that it's not one of the final 3, but to me, it was one that for people that don't like the taste of whiskey that are trying to get into it, it was the Crown Royal Whiskey Cola one.
See, I'll give you that.
That one there, the whiskey didn't come out in it at all.
No. So let's kind of start. And we're going to go here from our right, which would be left on the television. We're going to start with Crown Royal Whiskey Cola. Just give me your thoughts as we go down.
So that one was very bland.
Yes.
Wasn't a lot to it. Not a whole lot.
Not at all. The biggest thing that I got out of that was it had a little bit of cinnamon, and that's, to me, is a typical Canadian whiskey kind of thing. Then we moved into the peach tea, which the peach tea had nothing but imitation peach. Now, as an iced cocktail on a hot day, I could see it working.
I could too. The thing it didn't have, and if you go back to when we did the peach crown,
it
was not as fake as that.
That is a true statement.
So it was a little more mellow on the peach. Didn't have a lot of tea flavor, though, which kind of took away from it.
Right. And then we moved to the Crown Apple, which has been one of the more interesting apple whiskey liqueurs that have come out. Because, let's be honest with these. They're whiskey mixed with liqueur that gives it the flavor.
Right.
They aren't apple whiskey. So this one wasn't bad. It has a real hint of cranberry. I know in our pre-fight you made a real interesting. You said it's kind of like Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, when you get that apple cranberry combination where you bake them together and that you really don't have a cranberry sauce. That's what I got out, was a combination of apple and cranberry.
Yeah, I did too. It was one of those, to me, that is also one that if you're not a whiskey drinker, you could drink that all day long with your friends and be good because, number one, I think all of these have about 7% alcohol. So kind of talk about what the percentages mean as opposed to like a Bud Light a Budweiser, a Guinness.
It's comparable.
Yeah.
It's you're 5% alcohol, 5.5% on your beer, on your typical beer. So you're right in that same range. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio essentially. And you don't have an overpowering alcohol flavor with this at all.
At all. And
it's almost like a light beer.
Yeah.
Sorry.
These would be, like I said, great for a summer day. The can makes it easy. Moving on to the Jack Daniel's family here that we brought in. Now, the funny thing that I found about this is we have a great sponsor in this in the 40 Liquor Store and Convenient Mart in Troy, Illinois, who hooks us up with all of this, which is great. They told me, though, that the Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey is going to no longer be distributed. They're actually coming out with a new product because it hasn't been that big of a seller. The Whiskey Cola, though, is Craig Nasello's Jack and Coke like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah. We actually talked to Craig about that before the show while we were prepping, and it really is. If you like a Jack and Coke, you don't get that true Coke flavor, but you got that cola flavor with it.
Yes.
And it's just like if you mixed your own in a little bit lighter mixture.
Yeah, it's definitely a lighter from the amount of spirit that goes into it. Jack Daniel's Honey Whiskey Lemonade. I don't know how to put my finger on it, but it had this weird nose to it. And when we say nose, we mean literally the smell of it. It had a very weird smell.
Yeah.
I was okay with it. I could definitely see it being a drinker, but still not great.
No, and the flavor profile was just, I couldn't quite mix it. I think the comment we made earlier was, it's a fake honey.
Yes. Then we move on to the Jack Daniel's product, or I'm sorry, the Jim Beam products. Now, this is the one that really kind of blew me away about this. Tonight we have two highballs. So, classic highball is bourbon, seltzer water, and citrus. The classic highball hit the mark. Complete and total. Bourbon and ginger ale. Also, I forget the name of it because it's on
Johnny Ginger. Johnny Walker and ginger ale.
It's one of those that Jim Beam hit it. And actually, we didn't have one tonight because neither one of us could find it. And that's Jim Beam and Cola. Is by far so far been my favorite of all of them that I've had. And then we move into the craft distilleries because this is a huge market. And that was, we have Dogfish Distillery, Dogfish Brewery, big beer manufacturer. I know you're big into beer also, but you know Dogfish is a big one in the craft beer world. Well, they came out now with this whiskey sour bergamot cherry thing that, I'm going to say it, was terrible.
Yeah, the bergamot, I just couldn't get over.
Well,
it's the first time I'd ever had it.
Right.
I mean, and I think it's something that's usually mixed with tea, but I just I couldn't handle it.
The thing that got me with it is it's fizzy. Whiskey sours are not fizzy. No matter what, no matter where, they're not fizzy. And then we had the Cutwater, which was a honey lemon tea, I believe it was.
Yeah, because I think when we first
whiskey.
talked about it, we thought it was lemonade.
Right.
But what was weird was my comment to you, the flavor I got was it's like 2-day-old tea, 3-day-old tea.
Exactly.
And when we look back at the can, we corrected ourselves and it's lemon tea. And to me, that just threw me off so badly with 3-day-old tea. It doesn't cut it.
And I hate to say that because, number one, I'm a huge fan of supporting the local the craft distilleries. There's also a couple others out there if you're from the Midwest. Four Hands Brewery is making one with their 1220 distillery. The Lavender Lemonade, which is a gin product, is amazing. They're not doing a whiskey. They're just not whiskey people. But this is out there, and so kind of give me your thoughts on the people who don't drink whiskey, who isn't going to sit down and make cocktails like we did tonight. What are your thoughts as this is the intro to whiskey for people?
I mean, the Crown Apple, the
Absolutely.
Crown Cola on the end. Honestly, the Bourbon Ginger Ale is good. I think the Bourbon Seltzer is going to throw people a little bit just because of so much seltzer.
It almost, and I hate to say it, it almost came out White Claw-ish.
That was your first comment.
That
actually.
was. I'm like, this is a White Claw in a can. But it was enough of a bourbon flavor that it made it kind of work.
Yeah.
So, all right. Here is what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, for our Sip, Sync, and Save tonight, which is brought to you by the 4O Convenience Stores in Troy, Illinois. Thank you very much for always supplying us with liquor. There's nothing better, right? So if you want to become a sponsor, hit us up on social media at Facebook or on Instagram and Twitter at MMA Bourbon. All right, Jimmy, we picked 3 out of the 9 that we tried.
Yes.
Pull them back, please, sir. This
So
is like
let's
the
pull
final 4, only 3. So
We're gonna pull.
the ones
We're gonna pull those that did not make the cut.
Oh, there we go. Oh, yep, there it is. Oh, all the Crown Royals did not make the cut, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone has been talking about the Crown Royals, that they're the big new thing, and they did not make the cut for us.
No.
But
we stuck to what tastes true to the original recipe that they're mimicking.
Absolutely. The biggest thing that we did in this is and literally it was one of those that I sat down and I'm like, this tastes like what I can make.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what made the cut. So we are going tonight with Jim Beam's Original Highball, Jim Beam and Ginger Ale, and Jack Daniel's Whiskey and Cola, because you can't say Coke. All right. Jim Range, as we play our Sip, Sync, and Save game. Sip means that you would drink it every day. Sync means it is the terrible thing that you are going to pour down the drain. And save means that you are going to save this for the barbecue, because ain't nobody drinking out of a can at a special occasion. Let's be honest.
So honestly, all 3 of these made the cut. So when we say sync, it just means we're choosing the lesser of the 3.
Exactly.
I think the one I'm going to save for the barbecue is going to be, I'm going to start with my save.
Sure.
That's going to be the Jack, because so many people will drink a Jack and Coke.
Sure.
And it's as true as it comes out of a can. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's pretty darn close.
It really is. All right. You are going to save for the barbecue the Jack and or the Whiskey and Cola.
Whiskey and Cola.
All right.
Now, my sip is going to be the Bourbon Ginger Ale. And it's funny because we joked it's not
a
Kentucky Mule because it's ginger ale versus ginger beer.
Ginger beer and lime juice is what makes a mule.
But the Bourbon Ginger Ale is very sippable.
Mm-hmm.
I could see sitting there having it while sitting out there barbecuing or something, just something like that, relaxing. And just for the fact that I thought it might be a little too much seltzer. It's a traditional drink, but it's not one of my go-tos. The bourbon and seltzer is what I want to sink.
All right, so you are pouring down the drain the original bourbon highball here. All right, so Jim Range is going to sip the ginger ale. He is going to sink the original highball, and he is going to save for the barbecue the whiskey and cola from Jack Daniel's. Very good choices. I will give you that. Actually, I think producer Matt might agree with you here, so a little thumbs up from back there. All right, so for my sip, sink, and save, I went for, number one, what could I make that actually tastes like the true cocktail? If I was going to go by true taste, the Jack and Coke, or the whiskey and cola, excuse me, is by far the closest of any of them. Mm-hmm. The bourbon and ginger ale, the Johnny Ginger, they're not going to call that being Jim Beam, but that one is incredibly refreshing, and the highball is spot on. A highball is literally nothing more than spirit, seltzer, citrus.
Right.
Works out perfectly. But with that, I am going to go for my everyday sipper. I am going to go for the whiskey and cola from Jack Daniel's. Reason being is that, number one, you know what you're getting. You are getting Jack and Coke out of the can, complete and total. So I could drink that daily if I was a Tennessee whiskey fan. I'm not, but it has everything that you want in that cocktail. It has the subtle sweetness of that Lincoln County method that makes it Tennessee whiskey. It has just enough almost cinnamony with the whiskey and the Coke together. Works out great. It is literally like pouring out of a bottle of Old Number 7 adding the red can of Coke, and going forward.
So we're saying Craig's buying stock, and that's what you're
I
saying.
think Craig should absolutely buy stock because this is Craig's drink in a can. He doesn't need to take the little bottles with him on the road anymore. He needs to take these. So that is my sip. Every day I'm drinking Jack Daniels. The next one that I am going with here for my pour down the sink, and I hate to say this because it's solely my personal preference, is the original bourbon highball. A bourbon highball to me is a very boring drink. It's way too much seltzer, even in the normal ones, because it's 1.5 ounces of bourbon, add seltzer, twist a lime on top. That's what a highball is. I've never been a real fan. I actually like it better with gin, which makes a gin Ricky.
Yep.
Fan, great. Not with bourbon. So that is going to be my pour down the sink. And then my save for the special occasion, because it is so close, and I am a huge ginger ale fan. I'm a big ginger fan of cocktail mixing anyway. It works in so many different applications. I am saving the bourbon and ginger for the save. So I am going to sip Jack Daniels. I am going to sink the original bourbon highball, and I am going to save the bourbon and ginger. Let us know what your thoughts are on Twitter at MMA Bourbon. I'm looking forward to see what the fans think. Because this has been, Jimmy, I mean, literally, how many messages did we get on this?
I mean, we had 25 easily. And the best part with it is it made us go do something we wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not something that I would do.
And the funny part was, we joked earlier, the thing with bourbon, we don't care what you drink. Drink what you enjoy, drink what you like. There is no right or wrong. Somebody in the studio audience sitting here with us tonight loved the Crown down here.
Absolutely.
The whiskey and cola they loved, and probably had 3 cans of it.
and big thanks to 4-0 for giving us all those. But I'm a fan. You got to drink what you like. And I am not one of these people who are the snobs of, well, if you don't drink whiskey neat, you're kind of a schmuck.
Right.
If you want to put ice in it, if you want to put Sprite in it, if you want to put Coke in it, if you want to open, because I saw this actually on TikTok. Follow us on TikTok at MMA Bourbon, by the way. You can see Jimmy make cocktails. It's great. I literally saw a guy do Pappy's 23 and Coke. What do you think of that?
Not my thing.
I think it almost killed producer Matt, but, you know.
I cringed a little on the inside, but hey, if that's his game, then it's...
That's his drink. So my gotcha tonight is not coming from the world of MMA. My gotcha tonight is coming from the world of bourbon. Give me your thoughts on people who drink high-end spirit, Pappy's 23 and Coke. What are your thoughts on that? It's a tough one, isn't it?
It's a very tough one because why are you...
As you sit there and drink a Long Branch Sour with blood orange and pineapple because it's amazing, and it's a great cocktail. But Long Branch is a great product, you know,
and it's
from...
a $50 bottle.
Exactly.
It's a big difference than something that goes secondary market, and the Pappy 23 on secondary, it's stupid. We won't even throw the number out it's at now because it's gotten so crazy.
Yeah, it's the secondary market.
But no,
I
mean,
so dumb.
It's somebody's preference, but there are so many... And we've brought it. We've talked about what are our best low-end bourbons.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to be mixing, honestly, I'm not throwing a high-end bourbon into a mixer. It's just my preference. I'm going to throw a low-end because if I'm mixing, I'm not getting that full flavor profile I get from the bottle that's aged 15, 20 years.
So, guys, give us your thoughts in the comments on Twitter, on Instagram, all of the socials. What is your go-to bottle for mixing? And I'm going to pose that question to you, Jimmy. What is your go-to bourbon for mixing?
It's probably sitting there over there on the shelf, and it's probably going to be an OWA or a Weller SR.
Wow, so you're going to play the weeded mix that everybody wants, and you're still going to mix a cocktail with it. That's what I love about you.
Or Long Branch, like you said. But I love Long Branch straight up, too.
Oh, I do, too. Also... we really want to get into this tonight, and that is we made some cocktails tonight, but we had our cans. I'm glad that we have gotten those out of the way for the people, but there has been kind of another question that has really been posed to us, and we are all about your questions. Let us know. DM us on all the platforms. What is the impact of moving from a bourbon to a rye to an Irish to a Scotch that changed the way that you make a drink. And I'm talking anything from an old fashioned to a Manhattan to a sour. Give me your thoughts on what is the changes that make?
I mean, it honestly ties completely in when you think about I'm going from gin to bourbon or vodka to bourbon. Because, I mean, that's a bigger jump, but you do have a lot of drinks that have crossed. But when you go from whiskey to a rye, you get a lot spicier. So depending on the drink you're making, that can drastically impact it, not always in a positive way. And I'm a rye guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there are some drinks that I don't want the spice. I mean, and this conversation actually started a little bit with a friend of mine talking about he makes all of his old fashions with rye.
Which is wrong. I mean, like in the
By the book, it's wrong.
In the classic sense of the cocktail, it's wrong. And I love the guys are in the chat room here with Craig because Craig has jumped into the chat room. If you want to, Craig's out there, talk to him too. But we've got people who say if it makes you happy, do it. Doesn't matter.
I agree.
We've had a shout out to Stillhouse Coffee Bourbon, which is an interesting thought. Coffee bourbon is an interesting idea. Period.
I think we had some last show with the cold brew.
And it was good. I mean, it really was. But the big thing, though, is so there are some cocktails that if you don't make it with a bourbon, you're going to get an adverse result.
I mean, but I'm looking at old fashioned, and the more I thought about it, you got that sweetness with the orange in that. Throw in that spiciness from the rye. Now you're getting much more into a fall drink, I think.
I agree wholeheartedly. But my whole thing, though, with that is that if you're going to learn the classics, and somebody who has, I took a mixology course at one point in time even. You got to know the classics in order to change it. But I am a big fan of changing things. I mean, let's face it, I did a whiskey Paloma that wasn't really done before much, and a couple of St. Louis restaurants picked it up. Right. The one that I did here on it with the Irish whiskey and peach schnapps has been picked up by a couple of places. And so if you want to learn it, learn the original and then experiment.
Yeah.
And experimentation is amazing because there is so much that you can do with them out there that I don't think that other than, if you're going to make a Boilermaker, it's a whiskey and a shot of beer. It is what it is, right? There are so many things that you can do. Go out there and try it, but pick it with, I'm still going to say you don't need to be mixing with a $100 bottle of whiskey.
No.
At all. And I'm not a snob that way. I'm not. But it is what it is. So the thing, though, Jimmy, is give me your kind of thoughts on, as we move into more cocktails, what do you think that all of the fans want to hear from us? We played the canned drinks. We've done some drinks that people have asked for. I made a tequila drink one night because people wanted it. Give the fans of what more is coming.
Well, I mean, I think as we start going in the spring, we're getting more outdoors. Look forward to some drinks we've got coming forward that are going to be more springtime, that when you're out there at the barbecue while you're sitting outside, you don't want this heavy bourbon that's really overpowering. Like
I always want heavy bourbon. So does producer Matt. Don't let him lie.
Yeah, but you know where I'm going with that. It's something a little more citrusy almost for springtime and into the summer that really flows with the weather and everything. So look for a few drinks we've got coming that way there, and it just flows into the weather through the seasons.
Yeah, and also we have merchandise coming, so check it out. Keep following us on all of the socials. We've got some pretty cool stuff coming up, Jimmy. I mean, I'm really stoked for what this platform is going to become.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, bit by bit, we're growing. We've got some kinks ironed out with the guest visitors like Craig being on the road tonight, but we're getting there.
Oh, absolutely.
It's gonna be. It's been fun, and we really appreciate everybody with it.
And who would have thought that we're 15, 16 episodes in, and we already have sponsors who are giving us stuff.
Yeah.
So you got to love it. We thank you very much for joining us here. Again, check us out on the socials at MMA Bourbon on all the platforms. I'm stoked. We're thrilled. Let us know what you want to know. We're here for you. I'll make you a drink. I'll teach it to you. Jimmy will tell you about the history, and we'll make it all good. And Craig will be here to wrap your hands. So we got that going for us. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time right here on the MMA Bourbon Appreciation Society.
Cheers, everybody.